We are not a nation of immigrants. This phrase that's constantly bantered about in the news, from the president, from different people in the media, we're a nation of immigrants. That is no longer true. There was a time, back when this was still the frontier or was converting from the frontier, that this was a nation of immigrants. But today, the vast majority of all Americans that are here were born here. Their parents are born here. Their families have been here for generations. We have 315 million people in this country, and they didn't just arrive. This is no longer a nation of immigrants. Now, one thing that I really resent about that phrase is it's used, to kind of justify that we can bring in all these people from other places or illegal immigrants and say, just throw everybody in, it's fine. We're a nation of immigrants. This trivializes American culture. This trivializes our history. We do have our own culture. We have our own body language. We have our own attitudes. We have our own beliefs and morals in this country. You think about white and black Americans and the long history we have together, and there was turmoil, and there was musical influences, and there were things that were bad. But guess what? That is our history. That's not an immigrant history. That's not some other group's history. That is American history. And today, you look at our culture, and the way I look at it, I feel like our music, our attitude, the way we do things in sports, the way we do things on TV, our music, you can go all the way back to ragtime, to rock and roll, to jazz. America has a culture, a blend of the white and black Americans, the influences on each other. I don't want to hear we're a nation of immigrants, making it sound like none of that stuff matters. Our culture does matter. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that I think is really dumb about that saying is, a lot of people may not realize this, but Americans in the early 1900s, the 19-teens and the 1920s, they actually had already decided. The attitude of Americans at that time was, we were no longer a nation of immigrants. They changed all the immigration laws to slow it way down, where there could be hardly any. They only had like 3% variations allowed. You could not bring in massive numbers of people from different countries. Everything was very controlled. They felt that we had become our own country. We were no longer the frontier, and we were our own culture. Now, however many years later, 90 years later, we're back to being a nation of immigrants. And this is actually kind of like a trend around the world. If you read news articles around the whole world, England says that they're a nation of immigrants because they have a lot of Indian people who live in London. All of the South American countries, Argentina, Brazil, everybody writes these articles. We're a nation of immigrants. Australia, we're diverse. We're a nation of immigrants. This is some kind of weird trend. But you know what? We have 315 million people in this country, and only China and India have more people than the United States. We are no longer a nation of immigrants. That is the past. We are Americans with our own culture, our own attitude, and this is just kind of dumb. We are not a nation of immigrants.